Fiji and the All Blacks, folks, from San Diego, and it's a pretty comfortable win for the All Blacks in the end, 47 points to 5. I thought the All Blacks' new faces looked pretty good. The line-out looked a lot better. The scrum was very solid. Maybe they need to work on a few restarts because they dropped or just kind of made a bit of a meal of a few of those. But overall, apart from Cortez Ratama getting his head smashed into the dirt, it's a pretty good day at the office for the All Blacks. For Fiji, I mean, they showed some glimpses, didn't they, of what they can do. Sometimes pushed things a little bit too much, maybe chasing the game, opted for a little bit too much kind of razzle-dazzle at the start of the second half when they maybe would have been just practically better off to just play it a bit safer, play a bit more territory, but that was never going to win them the game. So that maybe made the scoreline blow out a bit more by having to go for the kind of Hail Mary stuff. But yeah, we'll go through some key events and some stats, and you guys can let us know your thoughts on how this game went. Good crowd in San Diego. Seemed to be some pretty nice weather. A touch on the warm side, but by no means kind of sweltering. And I think the fans were treated to a pretty entertaining game. A bit of a tentative one to start with, which maybe makes sense as the teams kind of felt each other out. Bit of a kicking duel. D-Max maybe kicking graces was saved by the fact that one of his kicks, which was definitely going to go dead, hit the padding on the posts, which at least kind of stopped it from going dead. Jacobson and Barrett were looking pretty solid at line-out time. Jacobson disrupted the Fijian line-out pretty early on as well. And the Fijian line-out, when they had a knot straight, basically directly led to the second try for the All Blacks. So from a New Zealand point of view, it was nice to see someone else's line-out struggling for a change, because the first couple of weeks with the All Blacks under Razor, it's certainly been an area for improvement. Anyway, but the first try comes through Caleb Clark, who probably on another day could have had 3, but he had some chalked off in this one. It's a nice cross kick from D-Mac. Gets it to Reese. Proctor has a kind of nice wee spin. D-Mac back involved with a show and go. Beauden Barrett, and then to Caleb Clark. Try time. So some really, just good hands, good decision making, good confident play from the All Blacks all round. I was really loving the way D-Mac was confidently taking the ball to the line, getting those defenders to draw on him before he shoveled the ball wide. Not just him, but him in particular, with the focus on him at 10. Played like a guy with a lot of confidence. So that was very, very pleasing to see. And I mean, Proctor with the hands. 13, who's got some sweet passes on him and is able to kind of take the ball to the line as well. Real balanced game. Seems really optimistic. Like he looked really, really good on debut. I'm really, really pleased for him. Fiji did concede that second try, like I mentioned. Their line-out not straight led to a scrum. The All Black scrum was looking to boss it. ALB, who also had a really good game, had a big carry before Ratama was able to snipe. So his first try in All Blacks colours. Big congratulations to him. 14-0 to the ABs. Although Fiji at that point did manage to hit them back, which was pleasing. They had a couple of cross kicks. One to Clark's wing. He ends up fumbling that one. I wasn't sure if he was hit early. I was watching the game with my folks. My mum was convinced Caleb Clark was tackled before he had the ball. I didn't really get to see it clearly enough on the replay, but certainly the drop ball in the All Blacks 22 meant there was a chance for Fiji. They had a scrum, and then they had a second cross kick, which went from Ravula out to Radradra, who was out in the wing, managed to keep it infield to Botitu. So that's the only try of the game for the Fijians, but at least that made it back to kind of game on. If you're one of the American fans at the game, you want to be treated to a bit of a contest. 14 points to 5 misconversion, but at least that's a little bit more back to game on at this point. And the Fijian defense did hold for a large period as the All Blacks tried to put them back under pressure. Eventually, though, when the All Blacks had another scrum in Fijian territory, you got Ratama, Blackadder with a nice kind of tip pass, D-Mac, Bodie, and then Proctor. Like all these guys that I mentioned with their handling, particularly D-Mac, Proctor, Bodie, and then the forwards as well. Like Blackadder was involved too. Really, really nice. Ratama's pass is crisp. Like he looks really promising, doesn't he? I mean, I don't mean to get too far ahead of myself in this game, because there's a gap between the All Blacks and where Fiji are at. And Fiji have been sitting for a week, whereas the All Blacks are coming off 2 hard games against England. But remember, it's a much changed All Blacks team. And yeah, it's just pleasing to see some of these young, inexperienced or less experienced All Blacks guys putting their hands up in this one. Lomani going off for Fiji as well with an arm injury certainly didn't help their cause. Their scrum was getting pinged. At least their maul defense held. That was at least one kind of area of strength, kind of, towards the latter periods of the first half. And then, Fiji got pinged at one point for not feeding the scrum straight. When did you ever see that happen in the last 12 months, 18 months, 2 years? It doesn't happen much anymore. So that's one that they can kind of consider a little bit unfortunate. It basically just gets not looked at. Every scrum feed seems to be crooked as a dog's hind leg, but nope. They got pinged for that one. That led to a New Zealand tap, Almoa, and the next phase, Savia, kind of able to power over. So 26-5, it's starting to look like a pretty long day at the office for Fiji, but that's when we see Ratsima get his head smashed into the ground. Nothing malicious about that, just a big hit. And it seems like a pretty firm field out there in San Diego. And Ratsima, just with the contact that he had, kind of falls over in the tackle and goes headfirst into the ground. So he's down for a long time. And we've had some bad luck with our nines, haven't we? With TJ getting injured, Finlay Christie getting injured, and now Ratsima kind of getting a knock to the head. He goes off, obviously doesn't come back on, looks pretty groggy. Fortunately, there's no All Blacks games in the next few weeks with the Rugby Championship still kind of mid next month. But it means Noah Hotham has to come on. And he played all right as well. Played very confidently for another kind of youngster in his first appearance for the All Blacks. Has to play more than half a game. But bad news for Ratsima, who up until that point had looked pretty good. And Fiji did look to have scored one more try before halftime. Wainiqolo over in the corner just lost control of it right before he was able to force it to ground. Like, it looked like he'd ridden enough of D-Mac's try-saving tackle to go over in the corner, but he just loses the ball right as he's going over. That's an unfortunate one for the game. It would have been nice to kind of make it that little bit closer, but the TMO checks it and says, indeed, there is a knock-on. So, half-time, the All Blacks have had 308 run meters, Fiji 201. New Zealand's had 57% possession, 57% territory, but the key one is the tackles. Like, the All Blacks have only had to make 54, and they're 89%. Whereas Fiji have had to make 85, and they've missed 27. So their tackling percentage is in the mid-70s, which is just too low. You can't be doing that against the ABs. They will run in some tries against you, but they still drop some kickoffs. At the start of the second half, they drop another one. The scrum gets them out of dodge, though, because they win a scrum penalty, so at least kind of saved the blushes that were there from another failed restart. But that's one of the kind of few things that went wrong for the All Blacks in this game, because, the first parts of the second half, once the All Blacks got the ball, looking to shove it up the guts and then shift it wide. The quick hands again. Proctor with a nice final ball for Reese. Try scoring continues for the AB, so 33-5. Fiji, by this point, we're not really looking to kick it that much. And you feel like, again, like I said at the start, that probably cost them, because you want to be getting out of dodge. You don't want to be giving the All Blacks that territory. So when they would knock it on, the All Blacks would get that territory. They looked to have scored another try, which unfortunately for D-Mac got chalked off. Clark had a kind of nice shimmy move to finish it, but not before. D-Mac had got absolutely smoked in a tackle. It is a massive hit, and it takes him a second to get back up. He has a couple of moments where he must be wondering what he's doing with his life, but he gets back up. Boy, did he get hit hard. It looked to be worth it, because he still got the pass away, which led to the try. But, it was like Bowden Barrett, ALB, and then to Clark. But, it gets chalked off for a Scott Barrett basically cleared out off the ball in the build-up, which had set Sevu Reese off into some space, which had kind of set up the whole attacking play. So, unfortunate for D-Mac, unfortunate for Caleb Clark not to get that second one, but it was looking dangerous. Just the quick hands from the ABs again. They did get another one not too long later, though. Fiji, again, looking to not kick, gives the All Blacks the territory. Satiti, who's come on, looks good on defence. Tossi, who's another All Black on his debut, comes on, gets a half break, big one, big man, getting into some big space. He probably didn't think he was going to be getting that on his debut. Satiti went close. He could have had a try on debut, but not quite. But De Groot's able to go over a phase later anyway, so 40 points to 5. New Zealand shut down Fiji's attacking maul on 60-odd minutes. Sam Darry had come on and looked defensively well involved, so good on him for getting involved in his first game. Got a bit scrappy. There's a few knock-ons as both sides were kind of pushing it. Fiji kicked it on the full. Geordie Barrett had a break down the right wing, but his chicken wing offload went to Narawa's feet, so not quite there. They did get one final one through George Bell on 78, 79 minutes. He burrowed over from close range, and the boys got around him to celebrate. He probably didn't expect to score on his debut, but there you go, 47 points to 5. And the game finishes with a knock-on from Fiji, which is kind of fitting because, like I said, they were just trying to chase everything in that second half, sometimes to their own detriment. Possession and territory finish with the ABs, more than 50 plus, like 58% territory, 55%. Possession for the All Blacks, so a lot of ball. They had 694 run meters to 382, so they really chalked up some run meters. They knocked it on 10 times the Fijians. The All Blacks were 12 as well, so both sides a little bit guilty of some sloppy hands at times. But the All Blacks, 14 clean breaks is massive. 55 defenders beaten is massive. I mean, Fiji had 6 clean breaks, which is more than a lot of teams get against the All Blacks, but the knock-ons were there. They had 26 defenders beaten against the All Blacks, which is, again, quite a lot, but it's still like half of what the ABs had. They offloaded 18 times Fiji, which is huge. The All Blacks 10. So they were playing it. But yeah, sometimes the All Blacks would get a turnover. There'd be a line-out error. There'd be a knock-on. So the Fijians certainly, I think, were better value than just 5 points. But defensively, them conceding almost 50, I think is pretty fitting for the way the game was played. Line out though for the All Blacks, 16 from 17, very, very pleasing because that was certainly one of the work-ons going into this one. Nayacalevu comes off the bench, beats 5 defenders for the Fijians, which is not bad. Nayacalevu, the captain, 13 from 15 tackles, solid shift from him. But man, Caleb Clark, 109 meters, 2 clean breaks, 7 defenders beaten, could have had a couple more tries. Proctor, 8 defenders beaten, 9 passes and 11 carries. Good balance to his passing and running game. Ratima and Hotham, I thought, were sharp when they came on. Well, when Hotham came on, Ratima when he started, which was pleasing. Savia beat 7 defenders. Jacobson, 8 from 9 tackles, looked really solid, looked busy in his chance to get a start. So yeah, for what it's worth, I think it's a pretty good result for the All Blacks. Fiji would have liked to get a bit closer. Like I mentioned, they had some chances, but not quite. Hopefully these sides can play a bit more often because we're not that far from each other geographically, but we don't get to play each other as much as we would like to see. You guys let us know your thoughts on the game. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Off to watch the Wallabies take on the Georgians. You guys take care, and I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.